Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And we are rolling. Rolling a top notch, folks. Good evening. A happy Sunday evening to everybody out there. This is kind of like a little change of pace. I was trying to get a hold of my co-host Arcnoia Strogabean for a couple of minutes there, but he's unavailable at this moment. So we're gonna change it from Arcnoia to the doctor and the doctor to just Doctor Earl live. And I have two good, cool guys with me. I was able to get a hold of these two guys last Wednesday on our program. It was about almost a year since I talked to these cats. We have Bobby McMillan and Kevin Hamilton with us there, and we got a lot. We had a lot of catching up last Wednesday there when I was explaining to you guys about the bullfrog situation there, what was going on with him. I was just telling I got to tell you guys, if you haven't checked out Devious Dave Rose's channel there, a couple days ago he had this thing called Random Stream Hangout. YR, my other co-host, was involved in there as well. He was like in the back. I believe he was outside. And Bullfrog, of course, was being questioned as always, about this and that. Why did you say this when you really meant to say that? But then again, Bullfrog, he cannot get his own shit straight, let alone his words. So, God, you got to check it out. I guess it's around the uh, 237 timestamp when he Ken displays on the screen all the multiple times Bullfrog has called him on his Skype account. And Bullfrog's coming out with this excuse like, it's a fake Bullfrog account. It's that. No, no, we don't buy it, Bullfrog. And he also came up with this other excuse like, I only called 7 times. I got the screenshots. I just sent you the screenshots. And I'm like, Bullfrog, he's lies. It's being proven on the screen. You called Ken a multiple amount of times, almost close to 700 instead of 7, as he stated. And Bullfrog just lost his shit and started screaming at the top of his head. He said, "Fuck you, Ken. I hope you die," and all that shit there. And I was just like, oh, holy shit, dude. I found this out last night on Ken's program when he was playing, snippets of Bullfrog losing his mind. And I just had to go back to Dave's channel and see for myself. And there, right there. Right there, guys. Oh, shit. Dude. Oh, man.
Yeah,
I def-
I just went to the I just went to that 2 hours 37 minute
Yep.
cut. Just a gazillion calls, man.
Yeah, it's like, oh, what the heck? It's like, and my own co host who was on the call, YR, pointed something out, and he said, excuse me there. He says Bullfrog often talks smack about Drew, Gatekeeper Drew from Joe Cronin's show. He often talks smack about
Mm-hmm.
Ken. He talks about this YouTuber or that YouTuber. But he has never said anything derogatory about Joe Cronin. And, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why. I think he's
Kiss
got.
ass alert.
Yeah, go ahead.
I said kiss ass alert.
Yeah,
Sorry,
most
I'm just the
likely
peanut
that.
gallery here.
Absolutely, there. It's. I think what it is that Bullfrog has this theory that Joe Cronin is the leader, the fearless leader of this YouTube community, even though Joe says he's not. But you can't convince Bullfrog of anything. Fuck it. So fuck that. So basically, I guess you could say Bullfrog made himself look like an idiot once again. Once again, folks. And I can. So I guess now some of those whiny, screaming bits are going to be used as a sound bites for Ken's program, I guess, from now on. There.
Yeah, no, for
Beautiful.
sure. When you make an ass out of yourself multiple times, it's gonna come back to bite you in the buttocks.
Yep, exactly. And Bullfrog has done that too many times. And I can name other YouTubers have done this many times in the past there. So let me get this thing here. There we go. Did I get this right here? Somalia. I'm just changing it. There we go. Now we booming. Okay. Bullfrog being a tool
And,
once again. That yep, as
and
always.
Dr. Brown,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
stated that you said either Ken or Devious Dave Rose may be on tonight, or they're gonna come on next week.
Well, I did. Well, I messaged Dave earlier today, and I messaged Ken last night. When I got home from work. And I'm still waiting for a response. I should probably kind of like give them a message on Skype to let them know if they want to come on. I'll check and see if Dave is on here. And
Maybe even add them to this
well,
group chat here and just be like, we're live. You wanna, hop in for a minute?
yeah,
And
but it's best for me to do just let them know first if they want to be added, because one time we added Dave Rose to another program I was on, and without warning, and Dave just lost his shit. He was very angry. So I'm kind of. And that's something that my old co-host YR often did multiple times in the past. He would call people out of the blue, just unexpectedly. And so let me see if I can add
well,
Ken to
here's
this.
here's something interesting,
Yep,
Dr. Brown.
yep,
So as you know, last show we
uh-huh,
were on. I'd like to bury the hatchet, and
yep.
Bullfrog actually he responded the other day. He sent me a link to his Discord server, which I'm a little hesitant to click on, and then he said, "It's okay, I forgive you."
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I don't know. I'm always one. I never like to burn bridges myself. I'm always one for trying to repair, not replace. So I'm just saying I'm always willing to bury a hatchet, willing to repair a broken relationship if it's
So am I.
possible.
So am I. I'm gonna feel the same thing. But then again, it's also depends on the other individual, because I stated this out there, and where Bullfrog was, had to apologize to both Shell and JB on Joe Cronin's pre corrupted pre-show there, and on a couple months back, and then the next day he gets on Bullfrog gets on some other show, and then he just trashes those two again. I mean, he gave his word he was not going to say anything, and sadly, it just he went back on his word and went back being the stupid idiot that he is. So it's just like we said, Bullfrog has this mental condition where he is like his mind is stuck at a 5-year-old child's pace there, and it's no getting through to him. So God knows, the only thing I can really do is let's just say he's not allowed on my channel, as I stated a couple of times in the past. But if he's willing to, apologize to you guys for the way he disrespected you on that one program last year, that one Sunday, and it was just. I'm willing to let it go, but he's got to keep his word to be an adult instead of a child. And sadly, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with Bobby just yesterday that he messaged me that Bullfrog, said that, I apologize, and I said, maybe if we can, try and talk to Bullfrog with, Dr. Brown, maybe try and bury the hatchet and try and
Yeah.
get it over with, just so, everyone is, okay with each other. Now, I'm not saying you have to have him on your show, and I'm not
Uh huh.
saying you have to, do anything, which I understand.
Yeah.
But if you would be willing to, and maybe we could message Bullfrog to be like, if he wants to apologize to us in person on the air, just so everything is cleared up and, we can have evidence,
Yeah.
I'd be willing to do that.
All right. We
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean,
that.
who knows? He might have a change of heart.
Yeah.
People change. People do change.
That's
As
true.
much as
Yeah.
people like to say they don't, they
Yeah.
do change.
Yeah. But the only problem is, well, so far he's not online right now. He only chatted about 5 months ago, according to here there, and he's unavailable at this moment there. So probably sometime soon, or probably on another program, probably another Dr. Earl live. We could probably do that. And wait a minute, I see. I could let's see if I could get Junebug on the program here.
Oh,
Hey,
I've heard Junebug was having a lot of issues with the
Bullfrog,
bullfrog
yes.
here.
Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah, cause on that press conference that Dave Rose had, he was calling Junebug an alcoholic bitch, and even though Junebug didn't really do anything. Because you still accusing me of sexually harassing you. I didn't say that, Bullfrog. I stated that you often come across as such and such and such.
He does, though. I mean, it's true. He does. I don't know why he gets so defensive sometimes, but I mean, again, this might be better for. I don't like to talk about the accused when they're not here to defend themselves.
Yeah,
So too much, but
that's true. So I've been sending out invitations to a lot of people, and just see if I could get Junebug on the call here. Fuck it. I'm just gonna try to get him on the call. Let me see. Son of a name go blah blah blah. Here we go. Yeah. So how's the weather around in your area there? Has it been Let me go try first to get Arknoy on the call here. See how he's doing there. Because
Yeah.
it's been a couple. Because it kind of feels awkward without him. But you know what? It's been a good while since I did a Dr. Earl live episode. Since that episode called Dark Side of the Pantry, where Bullfrog went
Hmm.
all disrespectful and shit there.
Yeah. Well, weather's fine out here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Hmm.
It's I would call it the full spring. It's still gonna get a bit colder out here.
Yeah.
About 50 degrees. We got a little bit of rain coming up and maybe a thunderstorm, but what you gonna do? You gotta wait until the summer to have real fun.
Yeah, that is
yeah,
true there. I
and
understand full well.
it's kind of cold out here. I'm outside of Bakersfield, so
Um,
it's a little cold. It's only 63 degrees, but
oh, yeah.
I know some people might think that's hot, but I think it's kind of cold.
I see there. Hmm. All right,
You know,
so
I've worked in the trucking industry for a bit, and what I've
I
seen
see.
is Bakersfield, California. It comes hot with loads. There's a lot of loads in Bakersfield.
Yeah, there's
I,
always a lot of trucks around me on the 99, and if you go way out on the 5, on the you're in the trucker industry. Do you call it the nickel? I've heard it's called the nickel in trucking lingo.
I mean, not necessarily. I know most of my the routes that I'm running. I'm not running myself, but the routes I work for, they mostly run on the 80, the I-80.
I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But do you call the Interstate 5 the nickel? I've heard it's called the nickel. That's all I'm
hmm.
asking. And Interstate 10's called the dime apparently. I don't know. I'm not a trucker myself, so
Neither am I.
I can't claim to know.
But I know, I
No, that
bet you.
that may be it though. I have heard the nickel and the dime before, and it may be true. It's just that I don't run in those specific areas.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah, but I never even been involved in any. Did I change the thumbnails? Let me show
I
myself.
actually I consider myself an inland boater as they go. I enjoy water sports. I enjoy getting out on the boats, but I live in Bakersfield, not too much other than the Kern River, but that doesn't really go too far. So
Yeah, that's why you gotta have to like Los Angeles and the Santa Monica Beach, and
yeah, it's too crowded, too liberal out there in Los
Yeah, it's not,
Angeles.
I cannot. I'm sorry. I cannot. I got this. I had to tell my sister how bad that California has gotten with terms of their liberalism and the way they handle the situation and the because a lot of the liberal politicians, haven't really done anything about the homeless situation out in the Bay Area there around San Francisco spot there. When I heard about all the homeless people on the tents, on the streets, the amount of people living on the sidewalks and everything else, all the feces, urine, syringe needles that were used, by the way, all know, sitting right on the
hmm
ground there for all the people to step on and shit. It's like it makes you wonder. It's like, what the fuck, how come there are not any homeless shelters being built? How come there's no more soup kitchens, and how come the politics? But then again, They have this idea like everybody has a right, everybody has a right to a trophy, everybody is. That's the mentality that a lot of these liberals, today's millennial liberals, have.
Yeah, and
Um,
what's ironic to me is, you go to Los Angeles, you go to San Francisco, you go to these big metropolises, cradles of innovation, as they say.
Yep.
These are the model cities that are run by democratic mayors, that are
Yep.
run by democratic city councils. And you're right, it's full of homeless people, full of bums
Yeah.
that can't get a job, that can't. Stockton, California, up
Yeah.
in Northern California, just south of Sacramento. They had a mayor named Michael Tubbs. Now I watch the I forget what it's called. I was reading for a little bit the 214, whatever area code Stockton's in. That they had this little newspaper, this local kind of media empire kind of came out, and they were saying that this mayor Michael Tubbs, whose whole thing was homelessness. I'm gonna fix homelessness.
Oh gosh. And he
He's
is
just
yet.
stealing. He's just taking from Paul to pay Peter. He's taking money from the taxpayers.
Yeah.
He's got this universal basic income, which is like, all right, whatever. But he's just pocketing the money.
Yep.
I don't know what to tell you. It's
That's the thing with most politicians. You'll get that money in your pockets, get your money in your bank accounts, and that's either way. That's how they look at it. Like get it
and
from the
that's
taxpayers, get it from
I
this
don't want to get
person.
I don't want to get too political, but
Yeah,
that's what I liked about Trump. He paid with his own money. He
that's
had his
true.
own money to pay.
Yeah,
He was
yeah,
a self-made man, didn't take anything and any handouts from anybody, and he paid for his campaign with his own money. That's
yeah, I
that's what
know.
I liked about
That's
him.
true. Yes. Yeah, he was also going to pay for that humongous wall with his money a couple of times. I remember hearing because I remember I don't know. You know what? Now with Biden in office, we may never see that wall.
what do you think? The Democrats are going to run
Nope,
anything
they're
from
not.
the Trump
Nope,
era?
nope, they're not going to because it's so nope, and they're not going to run anything from the anybody who is a conservative or a Republican, no matter what. They have this idea that we're better than everybody else, and you're not. Your old values are El passe, and that we need to establish new values. Yeah, but the new values you've been establishing just has not been working that much. That's the problem they cannot accept.
Exactly, and then when you're talking about the stimulus, I don't expect the government to hand me out anything. They're supposed to be there to protect my liberty and my rights. They're not supposed to be giving me money.
Yeah,
So then now I'm sitting here at these stimulus checks and things like that, and now people are going to get these free money, and these liberals, they're going to go and they're going to be asking for more handouts, and they're going to be increasing more taxes, and then the country's going to go into so much financial debt,
yeah.
that the United States might have to go bankrupt at this point.
I know. That's the one thing that worries about me, but it just makes me mad, that the people out there, the 20 something crowd, that the 20, 30 something out who grew up with these liberal values, they will not see it. They will not understand it. The only thing they knew was, oh, Trump was racist because he told us, because he said he wanted to send back all these illegal immigrants. They have a right to be here. But like I said, I can't really go further into those idiots because you can't convince them otherwise. And when something happens to their job or have something happens to their lifestyle where they realize, oh my God, we made a mistake supporting Biden, then it'll probably dawn on them. But until then,
Yeah,
we'll just have to wait and see.
I agree. I can't stand people who are just not self-aware, who just don't understand, what they're saying and what they're thinking, and that think everything's the opposite of what it is. I just can't stand them.
I know.
No, especially because they don't look deeper into what they're doing here, and then you want to start giving the homeless people money, and what are the homeless people gonna do? They can't afford a house on that money. They can't do anything liberal.
All they can afford is the heroin
Or
and
the
Yeah,
or the
Percocet.
alcohol.
Yeah,
heroin, alcohol, marijuana, all these things.
disgusting
Cocaine.
things.
More
Yeah,
syringe.
Yeah.
Oh, yep, exactly, and that's the
I've
thing,
heard I've heard horse tranquilizers and Percocet. They've been
Jeez
Oh,
Louise.
dude,
these new things coming out on the
Percocet,
street.
Percocet.
alcohol,
Yep.
even marijuana, just disgusting to me. I can't even. I've been sober for a while. I just I
But
can't even think
how
about
long
it.
have you been sober for, Bobby?
So I used to keep track. I used to be a part of AA, and I used to, I keep the chip, but I've lost track. I've been able
Oh
to
wow.
graduate from the 12 steps, so I kind of lost track. I just know I don't drink a drip.
No, that's good to hear because no, I did notice that you were slurring your words a bit there, and I don't know if you were all good or maybe had a little bit to drink tonight, but
No, I would never.
no, and that's great to hear that you're sober, but
Thank you.
keep on the track, and I don't know,
Might
I
just
haven't.
be my. You said you're from Louisville, right? It might just be my California accent.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm used to speaking a different way and hearing it a different way.
Wow. Yeah, I never really was an alcohol. I don't really drink alcohol that much, hardly. The only time I ever had any alcohol was at either at a concert or a club. It's usually just one or two beers, and that's about it. The rest is always usually a Coca-Cola and everything, or whatever juice they have. And that's about it.
I agree with you, Dr. Brown. There, I haven't been much of a drinker myself, but these sugary soft drinks and these fizzy drinks here that these
Yep.
British people call them,
Yep.
they'll kill you, and
In the
people,
long
maybe
run,
like,
yes.
And
yeah,
that's and the corporations want you to drink them because they add these chemicals that you can't pronounce into these drinks.
I know.
That
It's like, but
like
some of these chemicals make the drink taste good. It tastes refreshing and
Yeah, but
stuff.
that's the danger, right? They make a
yeah.
chemical that both drinks good and makes you, susceptible to the bullshit that they're pumping into the media.
Yeah, and one of the biggest bullshit things they pump into your head is like have a nice, cool, refreshing drink after a long day at work. Have a nice for drink when you're out in the park with your dog, or have a nice drink when you're out on the town with your buddies and such and such. One of the things I do not.
And I've seen a lot of and I've seen a lot of these ads here. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Dr. Brown, but
Go
no,
ahead.
I've seen a lot of have a nice drink with your significant other, and it'll be a two men or two women, and that's just and
Brainwashing.
Yep.
Have a nice brainwash with your brainwash. Have a nice,
They'll probably come up with the drink the title of
wash
that. I'll
down
bet
this
you.
wash down this George Soros with your
you know
contempt
have a nice
for
loving
your
after some smutting. It
disgusting.
it gets unfathomable when they advertise it in the media, and I understand, if you're bisexual or homosexual, lesbian, that's your
Yeah.
right. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
But when it's advertised in the media and given to our children, and then that's what they're seeing.
Shoved down their throats.
Exactly. Exactly. And then when it gets shoved down the throats of the children, it adversely affects them. And
Yeah.
I've noticed this with the youth of Louisville. You'll see children talking about mommy and daddy, what's gaiety? And then, these kids, they're 8, 9 years old. They shouldn't be knowing about things like that. Plain
And
and
we
simple.
we was kept away when I was a child. Back in around the 1970s, being gay was one of the worst things you could be. You had to absolutely keep that under wraps. You had to keep that on the absolute down low. If it was revealed that you were gay or bisexual, it was your ass. Because back then, around the 70s and 80s, it was not acceptable to come out of the closet. If you did, you were beaten up, disowned, made fun of, harassed, mocked, teased, every which way. And most of the households at that time were these conservative households, like where it's mom, dad, all American, all that ma's apple pie and all that stuff. And when they get in, all of a sudden when this something like that happens to them, they're going to go vice versa. So, which is probably explains the reason why much of these liberals are so anti-American the way they did. They probably have it in their heads like, "Oh, America discriminated me because I'm gay. America discriminated me because of this." Like no, America didn't discriminate you. We never did discriminate you. I never discriminated you. Nobody else did. Back then it was not acceptable to come out of the closet back in those periods. But now
Well, and
these. Go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, is it better now? I mean, because look at people like, and I don't want like to you talk
Hmm.
too much about the accused
Yeah.
when they're not present, but
Yeah.
Bullfrog, who says he claims he's bisexual,
Yeah.
which and all he does is he's just a perv on people. It's like
Yeah.
maybe if we went back to the old days, he wouldn't be so pervy. He'd realize right from wrong and know that people don't necessarily want to hear about that. And that's why I like Richard Burnish.
Yeah.
He's this pastor. He
Yeah. I remember
talks.
you mentioned them. Yes, a couple of times.
Yeah, so he talks a lot about that, and he's a religious man. So
Good.
in his religion, that kind of he helps people try and see the error of their ways. Like he would help Bullfrog see the error in his ways of being such a pervy guy,
Yeah.
and try and fix that.
Yeah. But the thing is, Richard Burdish, he's going to have a load on his hands when it comes to Bullfrog there because Bullfrog is hard to convince. Once he has set in its particular mindset, it's hard to get him out of there. I mean, me, Minnesota Vikings fan, his cousin, Minnesota Super Bowl hunter. No, we tried to convince him. Joe Cronin does not run this community, but it's like, yes, he is. He's a fearless leader, and it's hard to get him to listen.
And I honestly think you could definitely prove that by getting anyone in the community here. That if you can say that Joe Cronin doesn't run the community, but it seems like a lot of it is centered around him.
Well,
And
because Cronin has been involved with the YouTube thing along with Mars Mira, another broadcaster on here. They both started out around the 2005 and 2006. Back then it was just making videos and that was uploading them, while you worked your job and stuff. And I guess,
Mhm.
as time progressed, you were able to stream live, you were able to do this, you were able to add moderators, such and such. And I guess you're able to I guess you gotta remember Joe has did a lot of shit there. He's did programs like Monetize This, Out of Nowhere, Throwdown, a lot of programs. Wrestling news on this wrestler or music news on what happened with this performer there. His opinion on the last Star Wars movie there. And he's put out a lot of content, and he has a lot of subscribers. So I guess I guess because of the length of time Joe has been involved within this here, being one of the pioneers along with who I mentioned earlier, Mars Mira, it's kind of like Bullfrog sees him as this leader. And I gotta tell you this one little thing here. You remember that one episode of Throwdown where I told you where Bullfrog lost to that debate with Dave Rose? And
Yeah.
yes, when Bolsey and Owandi, who I mentioned before, started harassing him on Skype, he's like, "Joe, make it stop, Joe. I'm going to shoot you, Joe Cronin." It's like, jeez,
Yeah.
that's got to
Uh,
beat
y-
him. But I'm thinking Bullfrog must have grew up in a pampered household. I'm thinking because of his disability, and I think
Participation trophy child. You
yeah,
think?
most likely that. I'm thinking that. And which is another thing we got to discuss. These people out there who have an idea that everybody should get the trophy. I mean, we all agree. Somebody mentioned on Ken's program a couple weeks back. The people who advocated that shit obviously were the ones who never won any competition, let alone a spelling bee or a tennis match. So they obviously, they're both butthurt over the fact that they lose all the time. They're butthurt that they never got anything. But instead of willing to try and upgrade their game. They're out there campaigning, oh, everybody must get a trophy. Everybody must get is entitled to this. Everybody else gets with the one trophy. Why shouldn't I get one? Well, you got to put more oomph into your game plan there, man. I put so much as I can, but I still don't get nothing. Keep trying. Keep on forging. Keep on, struggling to get on and make your plan work for you.
You know,
That was the main
and here's
thing.
the thing here. When it comes to these new age millennials and all these younger children, I read a couple of studies here that they've
Yeah.
had issues when it comes to libido
Hmm.
and actually trying to procreate, because you understand, as it says in the Bible, you should only procreate when it comes to making children. And now these kids are so hopped up on chemicals and
Yep.
drugs and doing things like that that they can't get it up, and they have this new phenomenon. It's called the gas station pill.
Yep.
So you would go to the gas station, and it'd be a pill to help your libido,
I
and
know.
it would help you stay, with for lack of a better word, hard here to procreate.
And
And
this is the future that the left wants. This is the future that the Bill Gates, the George Soros left wants. I'm gonna say it. I'm sorry. I mean, I know people say, "Oh, that's just a theory." No, I'm gonna say it. We're talking about the chemicals that these kids are hopped up on, this ADHD medication.
All,
Nothing but a
all,
population control. Nothing
uh,
but everyone wants to be
it's a
complicit.
dope.
Everyone wants to be content.
All the doped up kids, all these drugs like a Ritalin and all that shit there.
yeah, and then I see some amazing children that that they live in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I see these kids. They're not hopped up on drugs, and they're rebuilding cars, and they're working with their father,
Yeah.
and
You
You
know,
look at
which
Steubenville, Ohio. Steubenville, Ohio. A bunch of, real,
I've I've
hardworking Americans. They're
uh,
trying. They got a park in Steubenville, Ohio. It's called Beatty Park, and
hmm
they've been trying to pick up this park in Steubenville, Ohio. That's just a nice park. I one time, a few years ago, I went there, and it was not the best park when I went there, but I've been following along, and they've really picked it up. They've really picked it up, and you know why they picked it up? Because they
yeah,
got off those pills, they
yep.
got off the corporate media, they got onto Lord and Savior, they got onto being a true American. Really riding out, living life as it was intended.
now, Bobby, I hate to interject here, but it does seem like you're slurring your words a bit here, and I'm starting to feel that you're hopped up on something. If I'm being
I'm
honest
not
here.
hopped up on anything, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. I get really passionate about certain things like Beatty Park in Steubenville, Ohio, and I'm like I said, I'm a Californian. I got that kind of Californian accent, West Coast,
No, no, no.
He's
No.
drawl, as you would say.
he's basically expressing concern and love for his home area there. He doesn't want his home area to be doped up and incoherent and out of touch with things out there. I guess that's what
Yeah, no,
you're.
I've visited Steubenville, Ohio at one point in my life. I do remember I was visiting some family up there in Ohio. So in Steubenville, Ohio, when I visited back in '02 or '03, it was a crummy part of town.
Yeah,
If I'm
it's
being
it's
I know.
honest.
changed. I want to make it very clear. It's changed since then. So back then, people were hopped up on that goober juice, as some would say.
Yep.
I'm trying to keep it, Dr. Brown.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure it's very PG. I know it's your
Yeah.
show.
Go
I don't
ahead.
really want to
Yes.
cross any barriers. So
Uh
people
huh.
were hopped up on them gas station pills, as you would say. Nowadays, much different. Very nice, cops everywhere,
Hmm.
patrolling, making sure everyone keeps the peace. You get out of your car, a grandma will say, "Hey, you seem like you're from out of town. You need help?" You say, "No, I'm
Uh,
just walking around Steubenville, Ohio." And
wow.
they'll say, "Hey, have a wonderful day." Everyone greets their
That's good
neighbor.
to hear. Yeah. That's good. We need more towns like that. I know. There was I remember when I lived in Richmond, Michigan, for about 7 years prior to moving back to Detroit and then moving here. I was told that a lot of people in the Richmond area do care about one another. Let's say if, for instance, one guy in one of those mobile wheelchairs, he was on the sidewalk and all of a sudden he fell off his wheel, fell off that wheelchair there because of some bump on the sidewalk there. One person got out to
Uh-huh.
get out of his car, parked it far away, ran over there just to see if that other guy was okay there. So there are lots of caring people out there nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think what that's what now. Even though we climb down the throats of social media for brainwashing this and brainwashing this youth or that youth, there, a lot of it, social media has done its part, you know, to make people realize what is right and what's wrong. Like there was a video I saw of a guy who all of a sudden at a Walmart heading out, all of a sudden he falls to the ground, has a seizure, and the guy behind him just didn't do nothing, didn't call help, just grabbed the guy's wallet out of his back pocket and walked away. And that
Oh
guy
my
who, di-
God.
and the guy who, and that son of a bitch got called out massively for that, you know? I mean, like, and stuff like that often helps people watch,
You know,
Yeah.
to do the
you
right
know,
thing.
yeah, and
Well,
then you look at towns like Steubenville, Ohio. You'd never expect anything to happen in a town like that.
no, but I mean, I think another big part of it, and you can stop me because it's your show. I don't want to
Now
cross
go
any
ahead.
lines, but
Go right ahead,
I
man.
think I think religion is a big part of it, right? And
Hmm.
I'm gonna say this, and I want you to let me finish my thought because it's gonna sound a little controversial at the first, but if I explain it, it's gonna make perfect sense. To me, I think religion is kind of like a virus in that it's viral. It gets out there, it travels from person to person, and in a way it infects people. But I just like a virus would. That saying that, it's not a bad thing. Sometimes viruses are good. Sometimes, we want stuff to infect people, ideas to infect people and make them care about things like religion. So if we can infect people with religion, I think social media spreads that infection of religion and it makes people realize, good and bad. That's a good thing. Understanding right from wrong is a good thing. And honestly, the best analogy I can do is it's viral, like viral videos.
Yes.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but it is like that. And I mean, you look at Steubenville, Ohio. They got a Franciscan university at Steubenville, Ohio. That's pretty. That's kind of religious. So I mean, they've infected their population with religion. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure I'm clear on that. That's not a bad thing to be infected sometimes.
And
Yeah.
and that brings me a really big to my point. It really pisses me off when people call babies innocent. It pisses me off how people always feel the need to say innocent baby instead of just baby. A newborn baby is literally just a blob of skin that screams and poops. It has no capacity for a meaningful thought.
Yeah.
It has no bad intentions, but no good intentions either. Throwing innocent in front of it doesn't mean anything when a person can't question anything. Objectively, a baby lacks bad intentions, and it can make it innocent. But people obsess over it like a baby's innocence is some amazing value. I value innocence much more in people who are capable of understanding and having a bad thought and intentions. But good, kind people anyway, that kind of innocence is worth praising. And then
Yes.
the phrase innocent baby, it's redundant. We are all babies at one time. We were all
Absolutely.
innocent at one time.
Yeah.
Your baby might grow up to be an evil little shit, excuse my language.
Go
But
ahead.
like
It's all right.
psychopaths start off torturing animals and children. We need to reverse the word innocent for people who actually deserve it. And that's just my 2 cents on it.
I know. Speaking of religion, I got to bring this up. I don't know if you heard about this. You heard of Kirk Franklin, right? He is a gospel singer and a choir director. A couple of days ago, he was recorded throwing this verbal tirade at his son. Basically, what it was, I don't know what the deal was, but the recording of this argument, in which the 51-year-old verbally berates his son with a string of insults and obscenities, telling his son, "You need to get your skinny motherfucking ass back on the goddamn way before I put my foot in your ass." In which he even concluded by saying, "I will break your neck if you ever disrespect me," before he hung up the phone there. Now
Hmm.
now the whole thing. Now the son named Kiran Ashad said, he posted on his Instagram this whole recording there, along with saying that this little caption, quote unquote, this is why I'm done. No father should speak to their children like this. If I have any issues, it's because of this kind of treatment that I deal with behind closed doors. Hanging up my face, no apology, no compassion, no effort. Stop telling me to go home to my family. I don't even know where they live. I don't think I'll ever trust my father to be alone around him again. I don't want to do this. I don't want to release the entire recording because it's too embarrassing that I'm even dealing with this here. You know, now I understand. This kind of reminds me of the recording that Tucker Chapman recorded of his father, the bounty hunter Dwayne Dog Chapman, in which Dog yelled out that N word, and that got him in a lot of trouble. And this was around 2007, there, if you recall. A lot of appearances that Dog was supposed to make got canceled in a heartbeat. He got on the Sean Hannity program, apologized tearfully and all that stuff. Now we don't know the reason for Kurt Franklin's tirade or what caused him to blow up like he did, but it had to be something that personal. It had to be something that upsetting. Now I don't know what Curion was. I don't know if he. I'm kind of puzzled at the post that I just read there. I don't know if that was all sensationalized or made up to make his father look like the bad guy. Whereas Tucker Chapman was the same thing. Tucker Chapman has had his issues with the law. He's been in prison a couple times in the past, so he's no angel there. And we don't know
No.
we don't really understand, Kirk Franklin's son, if he's doing something bad or behind the scenes and just making this out there to make his dad look like the bad guy.
Well, I mean, I think this goes back to that participation trophy
Yeah.
talk, right? Like,
Yes.
my dad, some would say, was a son of a bitch, and he, berated me a lot of times, but it made
Hmm.
me a formidable man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to take it on the chin, and you got to deal with it.
Hmm.
Sometimes spanking's good.
Yeah.
I, I don't like that. I watched some of the Kurt Franklin video that he put his father on blast because
Yeah,
that
he
was
did.
very personal. You shouldn't have
It
done
was.
that.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. The same thing with the Dwayne Dog Chapman clip there. That was a personal phone call. That
Yeah, I
was
mean,
very
look at
personal. I mean,
look
it's
at
that
somebody
private.
like Eastman.
Yeah.
I forget his first name, but he with Kodak made Eastman Kodak the
Hmm.
famous camera
Yes.
uh, company. Now his dad was what they would say a son of a bitch, and his
Yeah.
dad berated him and stuff. But look, he made this beautiful camera company. Obviously, he killed himself at some point, but
Wow.
that's beside the point. There's a ton of people that like Kurt Cobain. His dad,
Yes.
was a terrible person to him.
I
Yes.
Kurt
I I'd
Cobain made
call
wonderful music.
no.
Obviously,
I
killed himself at some point, but still, I mean, you know,
I'd call Kurt Cobain's father, a son of a bitch if we're putting it lightly.
How about Axl Rose's birth father and stepfather? They both were bastards to him. In fact, I mean,
yeah, and he
remember, and
Well,
you know,
people would
co-
call him, a son of a bitch.
I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, pretty wasn't his father a son of a
well,
bitch? Now,
I don't know
Ozzy
about
Osbourne
his
didn't
father.
kill himself. He did ruin his life with drugs, but he didn't kill himself.
You
So
know,
there's
no,
that.
we know that's true. There, he did grow up in a. I don't know about abuse with his father, but I knew that him and his sister, that him and his family, his mom and dad grew up in a very poverty area there, in Birmingham, England. You know, but he was able.
Another great guy, Chester Bennington, Lincoln Park,
The
his
frontman,
father,
yes.
a lot of people would call him the son of a bitch, and he ended up, killing himself. But that's
Wow.
besides the point. A lot of great people's fathers were sons of bitches to him. But look at what they created. Being the lead singer here to Lincoln Park,
Yeah.
that's not a no one's band. A lot of people know Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
And
I know.
another people like Wendy O. Williams.
Oh yeah,
Her
definitely.
father was her father was a son of a bitch to her,
Yeah.
but and then she ended up killing herself too, but that's beside the point here.
Well,
Vincent Van Gogh. I mean, Vincent Van
yeah,
Gogh.
true.
His
Yeah.
mother was a bad person, and he was a very famous painting. Obviously, he cut off his
Absolutely.
ear
Yeah.
and killed himself, but still, I mean, his father was it made him a great
So I
painter.
guess to say you have to come from I guess the best art comes from someone who has suffered as a kid. I guess you would say.
Absolutely, I would say that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's I believe I kind of believe that as well because that's where all that creativity comes from. The problem with the artists like Cobain or Chester Bennington is that a lot of the times those memories often come back and they'll fucking haunt them. You know, and I guess that aggravates the self doubt and self loathing even more. I guess.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. When you've been conditioned to, hate yourself because of your, son of a bitch father, like a couple other people that I do know, especially, like there's this new artist here called Juice World.
Yes,
You
I remember
know,
hearing about him. He who passed
yeah,
away. I
his
understand.
father,
Yeah.
yeah, his father was a huge son of a bitch, and he became world famous, but he killed himself too. But that's beyond the
Still,
point
that
here.
yeah, that idea that they have this thing that they don't matter. They are not worth anything, no matter how high you reach in the either the music charts or the box office or whichever. You still have
Little
that.
Peep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little Peep's another one. Not everyone liked his music.
Yeah.
Not everyone liked his music, but he was still very famous. Obviously died of an overdose,
Yeah.
potentially killed himself, but still, I mean, another great artist who was pushed by his son of a bitch father.
Yeah. But now the question I will have is what is up with these dads? Being sons of bitches to their kids. Is it because the fathers grew up in hard times and they figured this is how it was done to their kids and stuff because a lot of times I remember reading that most of the fathers who were abusive to their kids grew up in abusive environments themselves, so they're just repeating the same thing that they learned, kind of like a vicious cycle you know
Yeah, no, no, it definitely has to do with the vicious cycle. All these, great musicians of that time, they grew up in eras such as yourself in the 70s and the 60s where, anything that was outside of, the white picket fence, the great white American family
yeah
was looked down upon. And, all these artists, they were different.
yeah
And just because their fathers before them were sons of bitches and now their father's a son of bitch, and maybe they didn't want to repeat that cycle by themselves by being sons of bitches to their kids.
yeah yeah
So
no,
in the end, maybe
I'm thinking about
taking their life maybe hasn't been the best thing to do, but
But it did
you see
drive great
yourself,
art.
it
yeah
Did
did
that's
good
drive
true.
great
get
art.
good art, good inventions.
That's true. Yeah, they were able to get out a lot of good stuff in their time before
Before
they
they killed
decided.
themselves, but
Yeah,
still,
exactly. Yeah,
That's beyond the point, though. We're talking about
that's
art.
beyond the point. You're right. That is beyond the point.
yeah. It's kind of funny. I'm thinking about Axl Rose. We all know the story. If you remember the interview from 1992 in Rolling Stone, he did stated that he was raped by his birth father at a very young age. I guess it was about 7 or 8. There was a talk. There was a lot of discussion, in the course of what happened to him. Was it William Rose Sr., from what I understand, was the guy's name. And apparently the stepfather wasn't a good guy either to Axel and his sister there. He apparently did some inappropriate stuff with him. And that often brings along a lot of great art from him. Songs like November Rain, My Michelle, Sweet Child of Mine, all the songs from Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 and the Appetite for Destruction. But along with it, you also have all the little things that come along with it, where it's throwing tantrums over things that are uncontrollable, or writing racist lyrics, like One in a Million, which, by the way, you had to agree nowadays kind of seemed irrelevant with all the talk of immigrations and the police brutality and the way the protests over George Floyd's death turned out into a massive riots and shit. Kind of well, a white person out there looking at all this kind of would have to agree that possibly, maybe, Rose was on the dot when he wrote the lyrics to that song.
Yeah, no, and
Yeah,
there's a
definitely.
famous artist over here in my local area of Louisville, Kentucky. His name's Jerry Trainer, and
Hmm.
his father was a son of a bitch to him. He was in the military, really strict. Jerry lived with his sister, his younger sister, and he took care of his younger sister, and he treated her well. He didn't treat her like the son of a bitch his father treated him like, and he made art regarding the George Floyd incident and things like that, and he got canceled.
Yeah.
Jerry Trainer, he's a
Yeah.
local guy in my area.
Whereas you look at like Gordon Ramsay, whose parents, part of his success came from, growing up. His parents fought a lot, and it was formative to him. And some could he first of all he didn't kill himself
No.
yet, um, but again that's beside the point. Now some would say that he himself a son of a bitch,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
he
Yeah.
pushes through his quote unquote
He does
abuse, as some would say, he
to
pushes
better
people to
yourself.
do better. Yeah. Now
Yeah,
some people have said that he's ruined his life, and I think somebody did kill themselves because of it. But that's beside the point. The point is, you push somebody, you have to do a little bit of abuse to push somebody to better themselves. And you make great art, you make great food, you make great cameras, you make great music out of it.
And movies as well. Whatever art
yeah,
you're into, it
Exactly.
comes
Yeah.
out. It comes out, looking top notch, perfect because of that push.
and the greatest example I could give of that is Robin Williams.
Yeah.
His father was a huge son of a bitch,
Yeah.
and look at the art he created in his 50 some odd years of life.
Oh, a lot of art he did,
He
man. No
created
doubt
great
about
art.
that.
He ended up killing himself, but that's beyond the point.
That's
But
beyond the point.
Yeah.
he created great art.
You know. I'm gonna bring something up here. The Pepe Le Pew situation there. That made me mad when I heard that him and Dr. Seuss was being canceled. Now, I saw this. I'm gonna put up something here on my face from my Facebook there. I have a friend. Her name is Teresa. She, of course, lives in the downtown Houston area. She was anti-Trump. She was pro-Biden and all that stuff there. She basically she called out something like here. Let me find Teresa. There we go. Here, I'm gonna find this little spot here. Come on. It's going to be, computer's kind of slow here and getting all this up here. Now, she posted something in regards to the Pepe Le Pew situation here. And, what the fuck? It went to my page here, damn it. I should probably wait before I,
Yeah, and I agree with you there, Dr. Brown.
yeah.
It got me fuming when I heard Dr. Seuss was being canceled because when I was a child,
By
Yeah.
his own company.
Yeah.
yeah,
Sad.
I
Just
know.
sad.
I
Press
know.
F for sad.
And what makes it even more worse is that these companies, the distributors, these music labels, they have to feel the need now to follow along with what's going on. Like say if back then if a singer, when Axl Rose had the N word in One in a Million, people called him out, but he didn't get dropped from his label. Whereas today, a country singer named Morgan Wallen, he says the N word in this video, backyard video, where they're yelling at some neighbors. He gets he gets suspended by his record label. He gets his music
Yeah.
takes off of streaming services like Spotify and such.
It's just disgusting what people will call up these companies, and the companies will just bend to these people. These mindless people, these mindless libs, the companies will just bend to them. And these
Absolutely.
these corporations that are evil in and of themselves, these corporations
hmm
shouldn't exist in the first place. They're driving our country, and it's just awful. I thought we had freedom of speech in this country. I
I
guess
know
not.
it's like it's slowly is either way it's slowly being removed from our eyes. It's being pulled up from under our feet, and I don't like it one damn bit. Now here I found this post that my friend Teresa, posted there. She said, "quote unquote," a lot of you whining about Pepe Le Pew have never had a guy bigger than you hold you in a body lock while trying to grope and kiss you against your will, and it shows.
And I'm gonna be completely frank here, and I don't know your friend Teresa too well, but
Yeah.
the
I
way
would.
she said it, I have been groped and held by a man bigger than me, and it
Really?
was a traumatic experience. Yeah,
Wow.
it was, and when
You get over
experiences
it.
like
I've
Yeah.
had
yeah,
that too. I've had that happen to me too. Everyone,
Yeah.
gets touched, when
Yeah.
they're a kid.
Exactly.
There's pedophiles everywhere, and everyone has a
Jerk.
bad. But also, Pepe Le
Sexually
Pew.
aggressive
Pepe Le
people.
Pew was never that big. Was never that aggressive.
No, he was the
Pepe Le
same
Pew
size. I
struck
guess.
out. Pepe Le Pew struck out all the time in
Yeah.
that comic.
And
He was
exactly.
constantly striking out. He was a
And it.
terrible romancer.
Yeah. Exactly. And plus the fact that he was a skunk. And the
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And we all know skunks stink like damn hell. She would have
yeah.
stayed
If
if
anything,
he didn't stink. He would have, she would have got with him. She would have admired him. Now,
yeah.
people got to remember that there was one cartoon towards the end where the cat that he was pursuing falls into this barrel of water, catches a cold, sneezes a little bit. I don't know, somebody. I guess later on, all of a sudden, she whiffs this whatever it was. I don't know. She drinks something or smells something that gets her a little bit out of it or something like that. But later, she like turns the tables on Pepe Le Pew. Pepe Le Pew is like, Madame, please control yourself, and she's like groping and hitting up on him.
Yeah,
It's
and
kind of
I
funny.
mean, ultimately though, Pepe Le Pew, if anything, Pepe Le Pew is a great example of how not to romance a woman.
Absolutely.
Because it was just
I'm,
like when I watched it, I was like, look at this creep. Like, look at this guy. Like, it was funny in that how bad he
yeah.
was at doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And keep in mind, there has now, for I understand now, there's supposed to be a Space Jam 2 being made. I don't know who's gonna who's gonna star in it. They're talking about LeBron James, but he's already been canceled out. Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
and
Sad.
Dr. Brown here. We have someone who seems to be British here in the
Yeah, I'm looking
YouTube
at the chat too.
I will. Yeah.
He says
And I don't know.
Okay.
love for
That's
First
this one,
Amendment style protection over here. Wow. Yeah, it's
Th-
sad. What goes on in jolly old England is just
Penelope.
sad.
Oh, okay. The thing. Okay, Penelope Pussycat. All right. Okay. I'll get it back to you,
Dr.
man.
Brown, if you'd allow it, I'd like to have Tom on the show here. If he
Tom.
seems to know his stuff.
Tom.
He says he's from Britain.
Okay, Tom. Who is it? Tom who? My brother-in-law was at me talking to me right there for a second about this situation. Penelope Pussycat. That's her name. It was the often bewildered love interest of Pepe Le Pew, a typical black and white pussycat. With through some means or another, she often finds herself with a white stripe down her back, which is often intentionally painted on or thrown at her by accident. She often finds herself consistently chased by the over-enthusiastic Pepe when the occasion has presented itself. Pepe is often is the pursuer, such and such, like here and there. Of course, it was the. Let me find it here. The fandom here. I'm trying to find it. Yeah, she's often mistaken for a skunk because of that white. Oh, come. What the heck, dude? There we go.
Sometimes this bull crap pisses me off because
Yeah.
you have people that are idiots in office and idiots in the media and idiots everywhere trying to cancel something that's actually good for the world. When I was young and Pepe Le Pew taught me a lot of things, and then you have people that everyone makes a mistake every now and then, and people should be able to learn from the mistakes. But no, they're sitting here talking a whole lot of bull crap.
I know. They got this idea that if kids see a Pepe Le Pew cartoon, which, by the way, has not been made since 1962, for the record, they're going to get the kids are going to get the idea to do the same thing to the girls at school, which is not so.
And something I have noticed here that if Pepe Le Pew did a comic on Japanese people, it would have been amazing because Japanese girls are really hard to talk to.
Wow, interesting.
Because I've personally seen it myself. I'm polite, and and each time I approach one, I say,
Yeah, we were talking
konnichiwa.
about that
I
one cartoon where she falls in the wheelbarrow. Yep, and we were mentioning that. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I'm always talking about them, favorite animations and talking about waifus, and they're usually shy,
it's
which
kind
I
of.
understand.
Which, by the way, I got to bring this up in here, and I know this was mentioned a couple of times before. A lot of the cartoons, like the Tom and Jerry ones from the original MGM Golden Days, they were often terrible as well. I mean, like here, the original Tom and Jerry had this, a black maid, talking all the Aunt Jemima, Bessie type of slang. I guess that's what it's called. But of course, when it started airing on the TBS network, they had to change up the maid sound to a more sophisticated, voice. There, it was a voiceover they had to do.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say something, but uh
And also,
um,
some I remember, some of those old WB cartoons be airing on the syndicated television on the afternoon, and all the gunshots, all the faces being blown to black because of the Daffy Duck aim pointing the gun in his face, accidentally, and it going off. All that was censored. All
well,
that
you
stuff
want
was
to talk
censored.
about sophisticated cartoons.
Yeah.
I think you got to talk about Rick and Morty.
Oh
I
yeah.
really like Rick and Morty. Now, to be fair, you
Yeah.
have to have a very high IQ to understand Rick and Morty. I
Yeah.
mean, the
My
humor is
nephew watches that a
extremely
lot.
subtle, and without a solid grasp of theoretical physics, most of the jokes will go over typical viewers' head.
Yeah.
There's also Rick's nihilistic outlook, which is deftly woven into his characterization. His
Yeah.
personal philosophy draws heavily from Nardinyaya Volya literature, for instance. The fans understand this stuff. They have the intellectual capacity to truly appreciate the depths of these jokes, to realize that they're not just funny, they say something deep about life.
I know.
And as a consequence,
Yeah.
people who dislike Rick and Morty, truly are idiots. Of course, they wouldn't appreciate, for instance, the humor in Rick's existential catchphrase "wubba lubba dub dub," which itself is a cryptic reference to Turgenev's Russian epic "Fathers and Sons." I'm smirking right now, just imagining one of those addle-pated simpletons scratching their heads in confusion as Dan Harmon's genius wit unfolds itself on their television screen. What fools! How I pity them.
I
And
know.
yes, Dr. Brown, by the way, I do have a Rick and Morty tattoo. And no,
Oh
you
my
cannot
goodness.
see it.
No.
It's for
Okay.
the ladies' eyes only. And even then,
Yeah.
they have to demonstrate that they're within 5 IQ points of my own, preferably lower, beforehand. Nothing personnel,
Oh
kid.
man.
I love Rick and Morty, man.
Oh man, dude. You ever watch Ed, Eddie a few times there?
Oh, I love that, yeah.
Oh man, it's kind of funny. It's like you have the Canker sisters, doing the Pepe Le Pew on all the three Eds there, and they're like running running like bitches. It's like hold up. If a Marie Canker with her blue hair would have hit up on me, I wouldn't shy away. I wouldn't be no problem with have no problem with it. I was telling her, hey, this is pretty good, pretty gal with me. She's like a street rocker, kind of like I am at times. But I don't know what the heck is up with those guys running from these three females. Is it because they're a lot more tougher than they are, or what it is, or what? Are they like tomboys, or are they just intimidated there?
I don't know. I think they might be intimidated.
Yeah, that's true because men often do get intimidated by women who are like tough as they are. Needless to say, like say I'm a regular dude. I am a scrawny dude. I'm in my 50s. If if a woman who works out, who has muscles by the pound, who's like built like she was like the late China, Jodie Lawler, were to start hitting up on me, hey, I like to take it to the Casbar with me. I like to take it to this place in downtown Houston or in the Conroe area. I would not really say no, but it'll be kind of odd because, But at the same time, I would feel kind of intimidated because, here's this woman who's got muscles by the pound. Why would she be interested in me? Like, I'd be like, oh shit, I better not watch, I better not say the wrong word. Otherwise, boom, I get my night lights knocked out.
Yeah. Yeah. I like Ed, Ed and Eddie
Yeah, I
too. But
know.
I think Ed is a real a reality bender. Like
Yeah.
why and how did the Eds
That
break
Ed, the
reality?
one who comes up with all these scamming ideas there.
No, not yeah, Ed. Yeah.
Yes,
Right. Sometimes I forget
Double
that
D's
yeah,
the
Double
brain,
D's the smart one,
and Eddie's
Eddie's
the dimwit, the
dumb
one
one.
with the green
Yeah.
jacket.
But Ed is a strange character.
Yeah.
Alongside his Toon Force, he's also incredibly strong and has a high capacity for pain, outside the norm of his cartoon character.
Yep.
He most notably is a complete idiot. The things he spouts are mixed with occasional fourth wall
I
breaks
know.
like
I
the
know.
rest of the main cast.
Yep.
But he also makes references to obscure pieces of media ranging from old movies to songs that target the audience, and even most audiences in general would miss. Like, so let's take a deeper look at some of his antics. So some of the things I
Yeah.
remember is like he likes chicken, buttered toast, comics, gravy, and old low budget horror movies. He can lift pretty much anything, which is just hilarious. He won a spelling bee on accident. He had an imaginary friend that became corporeal and beat up Eddie, and he helped break reality. Now the last two, the imaginary friend and help break reality, really stand out to me. I have an interesting idea actually as to
Yeah.
why these events occurred. Ed is a neurologically dampened reality bender. All right. In the episode where they break reality, Double D was trying to help the other two Eds learn about learning. This may have triggered something in Ed, a trail thought bypassing the dampener. He started the episode claiming he couldn't sleep because he was thinking. It was a stupid thought. How can my feet smell if they don't have noses, you know? But it was a rarity for Ed. He kept asking questions. He was looking into things beyond what he would normally see. He was the first one to begin distortion by lifting a tree, which was a real tree, and finding out that it was actually made of wooden boards.
Yep. I know. And you ever notice when you watch that cartoon, they kind of like take some of the styles, like and the styles of where they grab each other by the necks and throw each other around from those early cartoons, like the droopy cartoons, the Tom and Jerry era. They kind of like borrow from those, to make that cartoon complete. There, would you ever notice?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that they're constantly borrowing from stuff.
I know it
I mean,
absolutely.
everything's driven. I'm sure they've borrowed stuff from Pepe Le Pew too. I mean, look at
That's
some of
true.
the stuff that goes on in Ed, Ed, and Eddie.
The Canker sisters, biggest example of
Exactly,
that.
exactly.
No, no. I got the
Yeah,
cute one. Let's go kiss them. And Eddie and Double D's like, no.
yeah,
And also keep this in mind. I remember they probably. I know. I'm surprised they didn't really brought this up on social media. Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, having rifles, guns, shooting them everywhere around across the area there, whether it's a saloon or a forest. I'm surprised nobody ever started talking about that.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but they'll focus on a romantic skunk, who just hitting up on this little cat there, who he thinks is a skunk for the obvious reason we all know.
Yeah, well, I mean, cancel culture has no rhyme nor reason to it. They'll
They'll
just
just
go after
cancel.
whatever they realize.
Dean,
They don't think.
yeah, exactly. Like, no doubt, if Guns N' Roses were ever to put out a box set, we all know what song will not be included on there because of this.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of awkward. Like, it just makes, this is one of the things that upsets me about living in this day and age. People don't really understand. It's like more and more people are being taught, to cancel everything, boycott this, boycott that. Now, I brought this up to Farmouth Ken on one of his programs about the 20, 30 something people today. These are the people out there who grew up, as children throughout the 1990s. They learned cartoons like the Animaniacs, the Batman animated series, but they grew up with music like the Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, you know, learning all this alternative rock stuff, and later morphing into Sheryl Crow and Blues Traveler and such. But they also learned the liberal values that the media and some of these democratic politicians forge upon them, including some of the musicians themselves, like Pearl Jam. They support abortion. They support a woman's choice to terminate a pregnancy, even though the conservative, Republican, and religious look down on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean,
They learn all these values. They learn all this stuff. It's like it's okay now to come out of the closet. It's okay to be gay. And thanks to artists like Katie Lang and Melissa Etheridge, who basically they learn all this stuff, and they figure that this is how it is. They go now. Keep this in mind. The two Republican presidents at that time, up until Trump, was of course George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, Bush Jr., Bush 41 and Bush 43, as often referred to them
right,
as.
yeah.
They see under those two presidents, they see a war in the Gulf East, a massive recession afterwards. You hear about countless people dying, especially with the second one we had. It was like, you
Don't
remember?
forget JFK.
Absolutely, yes. They learn all this stuff here, and they realize, they figure, all these Republicans, all these conservatives, they preach about family values. How can you preach about family values when I grew up in a broken household with an abusive father who hit me every day of the week, abused my mother, who tried to sexually fondle my sister there, and such and such and such. But how dare they talk about, not it was all this kind of stuff, and they figure all Republicans are all about wars and money grubbing and discriminating those who are not like them. If you're not down with us, you're an outcast, such and such. And they carry through those values throughout their adult lives. And they get into all these jobs, whether it's Yahoo, YouTube, Twitter, they get into all these corporate jobs, but they hold on to those kind of values. And now they're forging those values through social media and everything else. And it's now other people out there are being influenced by them, and they're carrying on that same thing that they learn on social media by these people.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they say, Republicans are all the issue, and not realizing that Teddy Roosevelt was a Republican.
Yeah, and if I understand, he was a great president. He was.
Abraham Lincoln was
Absolutely,
a Republican. He freed the slaves.
Now, hell,
And then
Martin Luther King, he was a Republican. He was the one who he taught people, to fight for your rights the smart way, not protesting out in the streets, just trash in the neighborhood. Walk on the sidewalks, march on the sidewalks, and not on the road where all the cars. If you're going to protest something, don't harm yourself along the way, like some of these kids when Trump got elected. Remember seeing all footages of them, the kids holding hands together, forming a little fence there in front of traffic, people who got to get to work and everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, then they go after, so if you're against the Republicans, then
Yeah.
obviously you're pro-Democrat, and then they go after the Democrats like Eminem.
Yeah.
All the kids now hate Eminem, who's been out about anti George W. Bush, anti Republicanism, but they hate him now because what? He made a song where he kills his wife. So what?
Yeah.
It was just a song, bro. It was just
That
a
was
song.
about it. Just a lot of people don't realize that. They don't just because they sing about it or actually talk about it doesn't mean they're going to actually do it. You got to remember
Yeah.
that was also a character that Marshall Mathers made.
Exactly.
The Slim Shady character.
Shady character.
Yeah, that
Now,
was his
I mean,
Darth Vader.
So it was used to get that song was used against him in his custody battle with
Yeah.
his former wife. But
Yeah.
still, I mean, that's beside the point. The point is, it was just a song.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that defense didn't work in that custody battle, but hey, it's just beside the point. It's just a song. I mean, it was just a song. It showed his feelings, you know, and it was a very formidable song to me in my youth too.
Yeah, it was. People got to realize that just because they're singing about a subject doesn't mean they're going to actually condoning it,
Exactly, exactly.
let alone
Just because you just
advocate.
because you say you want to kill everyone of a certain ethnic background doesn't mean that you actually plan to do that.
Yeah. But nowadays, with all the videotapes of all these kids, threatening to shoot up their high schools and then actually carrying out their threats, people are kind of cautious about that. People think if they see somebody out there, so I'm going to shoot everybody in this workplace here because they drive me fucking loco. People are going to get up, they're going to be concerned about that.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, for every 10 people that say that, only one of them is actually going to do it. I mean, it's not a
Yeah,
huge number. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, so I mean, for every 10, 20 people that say they're going to kill themselves, only one actually does it. I mean, hey, I mean, only 1 out of 10. That's not a huge number. I mean, 9 people aren't killing themselves. 9 people aren't shooting up schools. That's not that bad.
I know. It's just, society nowadays is all fucked up, man, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, we really do live in a society that's just fucked.
I know. It's like you can imagine this one of the kids today trying to watch a full episode of All in the Family without cringing.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't watch anything.
I know. It's like, we can't watch Bill Cosby no more because, well, then again, Bill Cosby, I kind of brought it on himself there with the shit that he was doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
That upset. Were you upset when you found out all about that?
Oh, absolutely. I was. I was.
I first heard about this back around '97. I was a couple of talk shows I was listening to on the AM stations there. They were talking about, this woman here, claiming that Bill Cosby drugged her and such, and purportedly this was being done way back in the 1960s. I didn't hear about this until '97. And a lot of people at the time were thinking that it was just an extortion plot.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Now
crazy what we live
And
in.
now all of a sudden it was revealed that this man had some sort of a sick fetish, and as a result now, if he ever does get out of jail, who knows? He's going to probably need a walker because he's now officially legally blind,
Yeah.
and now his reputation, all the hard work he put in those decades of television, movies, those comedy albums, the movie Bill Cosby himself, the albums that I used to own, like A Wonderfulness, 200 Miles,
Fat Albert.
Fat Albert, the Fat Albert, the Cosby Kids program, which was also educational in its own right in a lot of ways in terms of drug use, how to respect people of other ethnic races and such. All that hard work has now been tarnished by this particular sick fetish, which, if I was Cosby, I realize, holy shit, I'm considered America's favorite dad. I should do something about this or seek treatment there, but keep it on the down low so the press don't find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, yeah, he should have hit it better.
I mean, it's
If
just,
anything, yeah.
if you have some sort of a fetish or something like that, which you know is going to cause you damage,
Yeah,
you
I
should
mean, yeah,
definitely seek help
if you're
about it.
gonna drug people and have sex with them when they're unconscious, if that's your kink, you just hey, hide it better,
Yeah.
make it so that they don't
Do
realize what's
something
going
about it.
on.
Get
Yeah,
rid of it
exactly.
because if you keep that going on, it's gonna eventually come out and it's gonna bite you in the ass in the big way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's publicity nightmare. I don't know. He was such a media mogul that he didn't realize that
Dude, he was like, you remember the phrase
drugging
that,
people is gonna be a PR nightmare.
I mean, like, geez. I mean, like, geez, you're married to a good wife named Camille, who, by the way, produced one of his comedy albums from 1986. It was his backup support for how many years? And it's like, like, you don't need to bang other women. But, some people
Yeah.
have that fetish that they feel that I'm on top of the game now. I'm on top of the world. I don't have to. The world bows to me. I don't know if he was thinking like that. That's going to make him make more like a scumbag.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just as well though, because his late comedy. I saw some of his late stuff, like his last show before everything came out. I watched that.
Yeah.
Not that good. It was just not that good comedy. I mean,
Yeah.
especially coming from Bill Cosby. I mean, it was just,
A
in my
legend.
opinion, in
A
my
legend.
opinion,
Yeah.
in my opinion, it was phoned in. I mean, he was sitting down. His last show
Mm-hmm.
I saw before everything came out. I saw his last show. He was sitting down. It was called Just a Night with Bill Cosby. I thought, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Yes.
this is the comedy legend.
Yeah.
You know, you hear about Bill Cosby your entire life. Just sad. He was sitting down the whole time. It wasn't even stand up because he was sitting down, and he was just like he was just griping about young kids. If you get a 60 in school, that's a passing, or a 70, that's a passing, but
He went
that's
off on a lot.
bullshit.
I know he went off on a lot of the kids of today using the Ed word. Stealing Coca-Cola and everything else. You remember
It
those
wasn't even
rants?
that. It
I know.
wasn't even that. It was a worse rant than that. It wasn't even like actually. It was just like, if you get a 70 in school, I don't want you as a doctor. Blah blah blah.
Mm.
It was just, I don't know. It was bunch of BS. And it was not A plus comedy that I was hoping for. It
Oh
was,
well.
I mean, you go to a concert, your favorite band, and they start playing the new stuff, and you're
Yeah.
thinking, hey, play the classics. Come on, say
Yeah.
some of the classic jokes. But so it was kind of like that. I mean, I guess.
People, I know that's the thing. It's hard to please everyone where the people are expecting the
Exactly.
old stuff, but they get to some of the new stuff in as well.
Yeah. I mean, but he didn't even throw in some of the old stuff. Like at least you go to a concert, right? You go to
Yes.
last concert I listened to. One of my favorite bands. It's called The Hives. It's a
Yeah.
punk band from
Hmm.
from the '90s.
Yes, I remember.
They had this internet concert. They played a lot of their new stuff, which I like. To be honest, Lex Hives favorite album. To be honest, I'll say it. I like the Lex Hives from
Uh huh.
2013. When I heard that for the first time, holy shit, that was the best. Like it gave me that feeling when you
Yeah.
listen to good music and you just get
Yes.
that feeling. That the whole album, an entire album, 60, 70 minutes of music, 60, 70 minutes of getting that feeling. That was to me the best thing. And they played a lot of that, but they played some new songs that you never heard
Yeah.
of before. But then they played their classic hits. They played Tick Tick Boom as the last song, and it was like, yeah, that's how you end. That's how you end it. It was that was I mean, but you got to play some of the classics. I mean,
Yeah. You
that's
got to
what Bill
mix
Bill
it up.
Cosby didn't. Bill Cosby didn't do any of the classic jokes. Yeah, you got to mix it up.
This kind of reminds me of the band Seduce, a Motor City power trio from back in the day, throughout the 80s, up in the early 90s. They was a power trio. They was featured in the movie The Decline of Western Civilization, Part 2, The Metal Years. There was a segment on them. And they had this major label album called Too Much Ain't Enough, which I highly recommend everybody out there listening to this broadcast. Damn good album. it was a very they were a very hard group. They had these hard edged thrashing songs like Chopping Block, you know, Been So Long, stuff like been the song. Bleh, I mean, I'm getting tongue tied there. The title cut from that album, Too Much Ain't Enough. Stuff like Watching, which is about Detroit from their point of view, which is pretty grim and dark. And now, in the start of 1990, they got themselves a new drummer and a singer, because the bass player Mark, who I'm friends with on Facebook, Mark Andrews, he decided he didn't want to sing no more. He just wanted to play bass and do harmony vocals and backup. They got a singer named Angelo, Rest in peace. He was a cool guy there. He passed away in 2008 there from some sort of a brain hemorrhage. They had this other batch of new songs. They kind of like toned down their style a little bit there from the thrashy, heavy stuff that they were used to doing years before. And throughout that 2 years where they were like, when they had that singer, the kind of like people were like expressed a lot of disappointment, saying they lost their way, they lost their power, they lost all this here, and they lost this, and but then again, you also got to see from the band's point of view. You can't keep coming up with the same stuff over and over and over. It
Yeah,
kind of it gets tiresome after a while. I'm like,
but
if Metallica were to keep putting out another Master of Puppets album after album, they would have been done a long time ago. So they need to keep doing other things, to keep themselves and to keep their audience, basically on the surprise level.
yeah,
The
but you
thing,
gotta play the classics.
they
You
do. Oh,
can't
they
just
do.
play the new stuff.
I
You
know
gotta play
Metallica.
the classics.
I know they
You
do that.
can't just
Metallica,
play the new stuff.
yeah, Metallica did do it. They still played a lot of the classics there.
That's
It was
good. I
it was
mean,
Seduce, however, didn't. They just it was the same stuff, the recent stuff
you
over and
gotta play the
over. I
classics.
know.
You
A
can't
lot
just
of
play the
people
new
were
stuff.
requesting songs like Chopping Block, their cover of 999's Homicide, and other tunes like Stroke of Midnight. And a lot of people, eventually they decided to get rid of the singer, get another drummer, and go back to being a power trio around the
There you go.
beginning of 2000, 1992, I should say.
There you go. You gotta play the classics. You can't just play the new stuff. You
Yeah,
gotta play the classics.
yeah,
Because I mean, it's a different city every night. You're gonna have a different crowd every night. If you play the same set every night, different people are gonna get. It might be a little boring for the band, but it'll be great for the audience. Because you can't play. You gotta play the classics. You can't just play the new stuff.
yeah.
You
Or
gotta play
mixing
the
both.
classics.
Classics with the new stuff. There you go. That's
Yeah,
what
but
I would
you
say.
can't
Absolutely.
just play the new
The
stuff.
new stuff. Yeah, you got to mix in
You
with the
gotta play
both.
the
Yeah.
classics. I mean, obviously you gotta play the new stuff because that's your new stuff. But
That's what you're promoting.
you can't just play the new stuff. You gotta play the classics as well.
Yeah.
You gotta play both. I mean, ultimately, I 4 hour concert. I mean, honestly, are you gonna be mad at a 4 hour concert? I mean, that's
No.
no. I mean, I'm back in the good old days. People get high, people get drunk at concerts.
Yep.
4 hours, that's great.
Yeah.
But you just if you want to play the new stuff, fine. But you gotta play the classics. You
Yeah.
can't
Play it
just
all.
play the new
Play
stuff.
it, but play everything, folks. Surprise us with either
Yeah.
an old stuff or something that we haven't heard in a long time. That would be the best surprise there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, some old stuff.
Did Kevin leave by chance?
I think Kevin might have left.
Oh,
I
I
saw
know.
him pop in for a second here. I don't know if he's going to come back in long. I like to talk to Kevin about we're talking about stuff getting canceled and different mediums, music and stuff. I'd like to talk
Yeah.
to him about gaming. I think gaming is video games is a big thing.
That's become a big pastime, during the pandemic. I know that's for sure. There.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, along
And I
with
mean,
all these online streamings on Twitch and YouTube and such there.
yeah.
Which, by the way,
And I mean,
I didn't mean to interrupt. What are your thoughts about the state of Texas reopening 100% as of this past Wednesday?
I don't really have too many thoughts on that. I don't really know. I mean, that's hey, I'm a Californian. I'm not a Texan, so it's
No, I've been
it's
living
it's
here
theirs.
since
It's not me.
I've been living here since 2014, which I don't regret. I mean, the Michigan that I remember was declining like rapid pace, and from what I understand from a couple of people who still live there, it's still on the decline right now. It's still not doing that well here and there.
Gotcha. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, hey, what I like about Texas is that they're very independent. They got
mhm.
their own power grid for better or for worse. They got their own laws. I mean, kind of they're almost their own country. I mean, at
Yeah,
one point they were their own country, but You guys, I mean, if that's what you think is best for you, hey, if you think,
Well, I know one thing. What my concern is, I'd like to go clubbing once in a while. I do almost once a week. A place called Numbers, which is in the Houston area. Now, if they were to
Mhm.
reopen that place, I don't know if you're going to have a mask to order a drink or to talk to someone, but I, if I'm trying to figure out how it's done. If they do reopen, how's it going to be? Are they going to require you to wear a mask, like I said, to get a drink or to make a song request, such and such? Do we have to wear the mask while we're on the dance floor and such? There, that's a kind of odd situation there. Now you remember seeing all these, videos and all these photographs of all these cyber goth kids with all these masks on their face with the spikes and all that stuff there, the gas
Yeah,
masks.
yeah,
They kind of, I guess,
yeah,
when you think about it, they do deserve a lot of credit because they were
yeah, the
wearing
punks,
masks.
yeah.
I know they were wearing all these masks way before the pandemic hit. So, like,
And not only that, but before all that facial recognition stuff. I mean,
yeah,
the old punk stuff.
yeah, the makeup and
Yeah,
everything else, yes.
yeah, and a computer can't figure who you are out if you're wearing a gas mask. I mean,
Yeah,
they got it figured all out.
yeah, they
But I
do.
mean, hey, it's your
It was
state.
a
If
unique look.
46,000 deaths is worth it, that's up to you. I mean,
I
I'm
know, who
not gonna
knows?
say either way.
And so I have to be. So everybody out there in Texas, I know you're kind of happy that you can wear a mask at your own will, but be very careful not to breathe on someone or smell somebody next to you. And of course, the 6 feet apart, I apply. The vaccine, I was told that the Johnson company is supposed to be coming out with their vaccine. I don't know if it's already out there, if it's going to be covered by insurance or all that, but from what I understand, their vaccine is supposed to be just get it one time and that you're set for life. Now I don't know if the
Yeah, that's
company,
what I've heard.
and I don't know if the company that makes Viagra, Pfizer, if that's pronounced, is that going to be the same way? I'm thinking,
What do you mean, like covered by insurance?
or would you take it one time, get it one time, and you're set for life, like the Johnson
No,
Johnson?
the Pfizer and Moderna, you have to get 2 doses.
Ah, I see there. Now, I don't know.
Um,
Is it going to be a thousand per injection or one time or what? Yeah. That's the
right,
one thing I'm going to find out there.
all vaccines are free.
Oh, wow.
Um, that they're all covered by the federal government, even if you don't have insurance. So
Okay.
if you
Good.
if you have insurance, you have to you can get it through your insurance, no cost to you. But I don't know how it gets paid on the back end. I'm not in the government. But yeah, it's all completely free. But
Uh-huh.
the Pfizer and Moderna are 2 shots, and the Johnson and Johnson's 1 shot.
Hmm. I'm thinking so, yeah. I have to wait and see there with all how it goes out there. All right, so hey, listen, in a while I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to get out and I'm going to take care of some stuff here in a couple of minutes
Yeah,
here.
no problem.
All right, so Bobby, I want to thank you for being on on the show tonight here. I do. And shout out to Kevin Hamilton. I know he had to take off. He stated he was going to plan on coming back, but we have to end the show here because some chores they have to do here before I head to
That's fair
get to
enough.
bed. I start working. I should probably get a hold of Minnesota Vikings fans sometime about possibly doing a later broadcast this coming Thursday of the show I'm on called Real Select TV. Have you ever checked out that show sometime?
No, you got. Send me the link. I'll check out some of these stuff. Sorry, I get in and out of the community. I got a lot of stuff going on in my
Oh,
personal
wow.
life. I don't really want to get into
You
it,
know,
but
I know, and I was unable to get Dave Rose at Farmouth Ken to come on the program. I did leave messages while we were going here, and I haven't yet to even get a response here, even though it states that both are online here. So, well, I guess it'll be it for tonight. Well, once again, thank you to Bobby McMillan and Kevin Hamilton for coming on here tonight. You know,
thank you for having me.
I'm glad it's good to talk once again. after a whole year, almost a year, I should
Yeah,
say, after that whole
yeah,
shingding last year with Bullqueef there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to see if we can bury the hatchet. Maybe see if we can get Bullfrog
well, if
back
he,
on.
well, if he,
I'm
well,
all
if
for
he's
one for
real,
repairing it.
well, if he's willing, to listen to what we have to say and not try to distract what we're trying to tell him by bringing us something stupid here again or asking us, well, Ari, so what did you have for breakfast? What did you have for dinner? It's like none of your business, damn it. Come on.
Yeah.
And okay, I'm going to end the show here, and I don't know what my next day off will be. I guess it'll probably be this coming Friday. I'm thinking, if I don't get called into work, obviously there. So I'll get a hold of Arknoia, see how he's doing. I don't know why he wasn't able to come on this evening here, but either way, thank you to Bobby McMillan and Kevin Hamilton for being on tonight. And we will have you guys have a good one. All right.
Yep. Me too.
All right. There. Bye bye.
Bye.
All right.